Hare Krishna. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Gopal Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Paramanandamatma. Hare Krishna. This session is not all that challenging. Just a light snack. Because you have not challenging for me is not an issue, but after you come back from the lunch, every time a post-lunch session, oh my God. You can imagine me, all of you can comfortably go to sleep. I have to keep talking. I can't go to sleep. I just can't go to sleep. One of our brahmacharis was singing Radha Madhav prayers before the Bhagavatam class on the Vyasasana. And while singing Radha Madhav, he sings Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihar. Stopped. And then the audience followed, the other devotees followed, and fortunately for him, as they finished following, he said, Gopi Janavalla. Just that one line gap, he was asleep. I'm wishing that I could sing some kirtan so I get some time to doze off in between the lines. But anyways, wonderful to be here again. And the topic that we're discussing at this point of time is handling troubles, trials, tribulations, distress, difficult situations, which I believe is just such a part of life. On different levels we go through what we go through, and it just sometimes makes us so negative, makes us feel so negative within, and seems so hard to take it, whatever it could be. And problems are on all levels, beginning from health to relationships to Krishna consciousness. There's problem in our health many times, problems with relationships, misunderstanding, conflicts, fights, and even coming up to devotional service that, not able to keep up to the standards of what we practice in our Krishna consciousness. This material world is designed to be so. What a pub is called in Sanskrit? Madiralay. That's right. No, someone said Sharab Khana. That's Urdu. Where you get Sharab and Khana both. Sharab Khana. Not literally, but just Khana, yeah. And you know what a restaurant is called in Sanskrit? Bhojanalay. Madiralay and Bhojanalay. You know what a library is called in Sanskrit? Pustakalay, Granthalay. You know what a school is called in Sanskrit? Vidyalay. Alay means a place. A place where you get liquor is called Madiralay. A place where you get bhojan is called Bhojanalay. A place where we get Vidya is called school or Vidyalay. A place where we get books, Grantha, is called Granthalay. And a place where we get Dukkha is called Krishna says it in the Gita. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. And what are we trying to do? Find sukh in Dukkhalay. It's like finding a book written by Peter Burwash in a pub. Someone goes to a pub, a Madiralay, and says, "Can you give me a book by this author?" I said, "Sir, here we serve liquor, not books. Go to a Granthalay, a library. You go to a Granthalay library, and he says, "Sir, can I get pizza?" So this is where you get books. Go to Bhojanalay. Every place is defined, and that's what we get there. It's a very depressing statement that this world is Dukkhalaya, but Krishna speaks that in the Gita. And therefore, too much extraneous endeavor to always keep looking for that here, is like going to these places and asking for something that's not available here. Does it mean we can't be happy in this world? If this world is Dukkhalayam, it's so many troubles and tribulations and difficulties and problems, does it mean that we can't be happy in this world? That's what we are talking about this late afternoon now, of course. How to deal with these issues and these problems, Problems, Hare Krishna. One gentleman there was saying, you are talking too much about, married life and all that, and aapko kya, you to became brahmachari, and the others are married, but I am an unmarried guy, so no girl is going to get married to me after hearing this lecture, you know. He's saying, bichare kuware ke pet pe kyun laat marte ho, you know. He's saying, why are you, you know, taking that opportunity away from us? He was telling me. I haven't taken his advice all that seriously, don't worry. Because that's not what we are trying to say at all. And the last session would be about how to harmonize family, which we are talking about from the Ramayana. And that's what we are talking about anyways. All this little fun here and there is just to keep us going. You know? Oh, problems, Hare Krishna. One husband said to his wife, I'm beginning with that. The wife comes and says to the husband, you know, I'm like the book of your life, you know. He said, really? How I wish you were the calendar of my life. I could change every year. The book of my life keeps going. How I wish you were the calendar of my life. I could keep changing. And then they say, good husband and a ghost. Acha pati or bhoot. Good husband and a ghost are the same. A good husband and the ghost are the same. You can only talk about it. No one has seen it yet. You need to keep talking about it. You've never seen any such speech called a good husband. Yes, we are dealing with so many issues and problems, beginning with our health and our families and our relationships and kids who don't listen to us and everything under the sun. And just keeps our mind occupied, isn't it? So we are talking definitely about what to do with these problems. And sometimes people come up and say, why Krishna gives problems? You know? Why does Krishna give us these problems? How many of you use a mixer grinder at home? Of course you do. How many of you have a blade, an attachment blade which has 3 of those blades? You know those 3 things? Yeah. And you put stuff in there and mince it, grind it, isn't it? This material world is like a mixer grinder, you know, with 3 blades attached to it. Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika and Adhidaivika. Misery is caused by our body and mind. Misery is caused by others. And misery is caused by natural disturbances like this cold. My God, when I arrived it was -3. And for about 2 weeks it was a negative, you know. I'm not used to living there, you know. And then Prana Prabhu comes and puts all this stuff. Cover yourself, wrap yourself. My God. Yes, these 3 blades. And Maya, the material energy, is the cook. Chef. And all of us are being ground inside this mixer. Sometimes it's on speed 1. So go slowly. Okay, no problem. Chalega, this much I can have. It goes on speed 2. Woo. And sometimes when it goes on speed 3, all 3 are hitting. Adhyatmika, the health is horrible, bad, the mind is disturbed. Adhibhautika, other people are misunderstanding, blaming, criticizing, backbiting about me. And if it's worst, there's such thick snowfall in the middle of that crisis. And it's so gloomy and depressing that I am just left that, why Krishna? I chant Hare Krishna. Why are you doing this? Krishna has created this whole material world, integrated with these issues and problems, for all of us to be reminded. We don't belong here. We're talking of this long-term thing. We don't belong here. We live here, we deal with what comes, and eventually we plan. Say, good, I want to come back, Krishna. Krishna made it like that. There is a plan, there is a design. And if there's a plan and a design behind it all, if we are trying to go against that plan and the design of God, it doesn't work. No one has been successful in going against the design of God. Not one man, not one lady, not one human being, not an animal. No one has been successful in going against the design of the Lord by trying to counter what comes. What to do? Just how it is. Now we have to look at how can we deal with it. We can't change the situation. All we have to learn is how to deal with it. Sometimes people say, but for devotees, why Krishna does, We're chanting his name, no? We're chanting his name. Arey, at least apne aadmi ko. I'm an insider. He should spare his own man. If you're an outsider, you do it, it's okay. To an insider, how can you do like this? Krishna should spare his devotees. The whole world is classified in 3 categories, and Krishna deals with these three categories in 3 different ways. The first is one who just doesn't take shelter of Krishna, whom we would call non-devotees. I don't generally like to use such words, but just for clarity, I'm just saying, I don't like that word, devotee, non-devotee, and all that. It's like slightly strange to me. Everyone has some connection to Krishna and God in their own ways, I just don't prefer using words. That's just for clarity, I'm saying. There's someone who's not taken shelter of Krishna, a non-devotee. Then there are people like us who are practicing devotional service, are not non-devotees, but are not full devotees either. Or a pure devotee or a pure soul like Prahlad and Dhruva. And the third category is pure devotees. Prahlad, Dhruva, Srila Prabhupada and all the great saints, all of them. These are the only 3 categories. One who's not surrendered, one is fully surrendered, and in between. The in-between ones are always miserable. And do you know something? There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which says that. There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which says that people who are not made devotees and are ignorant of it are blissful. Because they don't have any idea of karma and much misery. Do it. Just do it. This is their slogan. And people who are pure devotees, they're so absorbed in Krishna, they have nothing to do with what's happening around in the world. They're oblivious. But all of us, in Hindi they say dhobi ka kutta. Na ghar ka, na ghat ka. Translated in English, it means that the washerman has a dog who's neither here nor there. 2 kinds of students in universities are blissful. Those who have studied nothing, they're blissful. Why anxiety? I have not done anything at all. And those who have studied everything. In between are the ones who are struggling. Hey, revise. We are all those in between people. Sadhakas, practitioners of Krishna consciousness. When all 3 categories suffer and go through trouble, beyond their choice and control, there are 3 different reasons why it happens. For someone who has not taken shelter of Krishna, all the trouble and problem, which is beyond his control, of course, or her control, comes sheerly because of past life karma. It's 100% karma. Whatever he or she is going through, good or bad, is 100% clean, pure karma. Have to go through what to do. Law of karma works. The second is a pure devotee who's 100% taken shelter of Krishna. For him or her, the suffering or the trouble is no karma at all. Krishna personally sends that suffering. Hare Krishna. Most of us are going to say, thank God you told us we don't want to be pure devotees. There's enough to handle for us. Why Krishna gives them that? Because for them there is no suffering. They're so absorbed, it just doesn't matter to them. It doesn't affect them. Plus Krishna is trying to glorify them like gold put in fire. Gold shines, but when gold is put in fire, it shines even more. And Krishna wants to glorify his pure devotees and knows that they won't be affected by what's happening. So he chooses to glorify them and teach us through them how to take shelter of his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada, if he would have got a business class or a first class ticket on a premier airline to go to America and 1,000 people waiting to receive him, a first class VIP suite in a 5-star restaurant to stay when he left for America, I don't think we would have glorified Srila Prabhupada as much as we do now. Krishna wanted Srila Prabhupada to go through it on the Jaladuta, heart attacks and so much trouble to glorify Srila Prabhupada's greatness and teach us through him how we should take shelter of Krishna even in difficult times. So it's very clear. For a non-devotee there is full karma, for a pure devotee there is no karma. Krishna has arranged it. What about us? We are a mixture. Krishna, for practitioner devotees, sends the karma and the karmic reaction because of which we go through what we go through, but he minimizes it. He minimizes the karmic reaction. And because he minimizes it, we go through it. Sometimes it's so big that we're thinking, why are you doing it, Krishna? That's the minimized one. If the actual one were to come, what would have happened of us? You know? And therefore, firstly, we must understand these three categories. One is no karma, one is 100% karma, and one is mixed karma, which is all of us, some karma coming to us, which is minimized. You know? And you know what is the greatness? Greatness is not that there's no problems. Greatness is how we face those problems. Everyone goes through these issues and problems. Greatness is in how we stand up and face it, how we deal with it. That is greatness. And it's all about having a strong mind, being very strong from within, deeply rooted in our connection to Krishna. Once a guy was saying, Galileo had a great mind. And Albert Einstein, he had a genius mind. And, Isaac Newton, he had a very creative mind. And Bill Gates, he had a very brilliant mind. Myself, never mind. Never mind. I don't bother about it. Whenever I talk on the subject matter of dealing with troubles, I truly talk about trying to get stronger from within, become stronger from within and have a strong mind to be able to face things the way they do come. So, we will look at 4 aspects of how to deal with problems, all progressively going higher than the other. And all 4 are 4 T's. We are looking at 4 T's. The first T is treat the problem. There's a difficulty, there's a problem, we can treat it, deal with it, look at it. If I have a disease that can be treated, why say, what can I do about it? Krishna has arranged. I have a common cold and I say, Krishna has arranged this common cold. Let me just not do anything about it. I can treat it. If I can treat it, I should. If I get a melanoma cancer in my spine and all the surgeons and doctors say that you can't do anything about it, you can't treat it, then I know that it's my karma coming to me, Krishna sent it to me. But if there are things that I can treat, why shouldn't I do it? Many times in relationships, we can treat it. Many times in relationships, we can just treat it. We can work on it. It is a problem, it is an issue, but if we take the right steps, we can at least try to deal with it. Therefore, the first step is treat it. Just like a disease. Just like a disease. One surgeon, he was treating his patient and operating the patient, And as he was operating the patient said to the surgeon, before the anesthesia, he said, Dr. Saab, you know what? This is my first surgery, be careful. The surgeon said, this is my first surgery also. All good luck to you. All good luck to you. A surgeon was a devotee of Lord Krishna. He was a devotee. And he had a picture of Krishna in the operation theatre. So after his first operation, the patient died. And he said, Krishna, please accept my humble offering at your lotus feet. This is my first offering of love at your lotus feet. If we can't treat it, why not? And when we are talking of treating it, we are not talking of making the world sukhalaya. We are just talking about dealing with things in a way that our mind can be peaceful to practice our devotional service. We don't change the world to be a place of bliss. We can never do it. That's going against the laws of Krishna. But we can definitely try to deal with what comes if it's within our control. That's called the circle of influence. Stephen Covey calls it the circle of influence. Circle of influence means things bother us, but we can do something about it. We can do something about it. For example, a relationship. It's a problem. There is misunderstanding. Can't we sit and talk? Why just keep going in our minds, speculating, he's thinking like this, he's thinking like this. It grows. How many of you have experience of this? It just grows. Just grows. Many times it's important to just probably sit and talk. And if we can't sit and talk ourselves, we have someone else sit with us, help us. Someone wiser, someone more mature to mediate and talk. You know why? Why I'm saying this? Treat it. Because it occupies our mind. It occupies our mind. It's there on our mind all the time. If one of you says something to me and you give me really strong, like that person who told me that I'm a cheap comedian, for the whole visit while I was here, it was on my mind. And of course, I know who he is and I know what kind of a person he is, so I'm not going to even talk to him. I know he won't change. He's not in the circle. It's not in circle of influence. Can't do anything about that person. Chhod do. Forget it. Leave it. But there are things that we can deal with. And we should deal with it. So the first step I want to suggest is treat the problem. Treat the problem. If it's a health issue, if it's a relationship issue, if it's within the circle of influence, and if we can do something about it, let us do something about it. Let us do something about it. You can see the Mahabharata. We have all examples in the Mahabharata. When the Pandavas were about to be burnt in the house of lac, they treated that problem. Vidura came to their help to rescue them. They didn't have to be burnt there. They had a good connection with Vidura, and Vidura came and helped them, and they were out of that issue. They were saved from the Lakshagraha, the house of lac, but they were not saved from many other issues that came in their lives. And all through the difficulties that they were going through, they had three things with them: Vipra, Dharma, Achyutashraya. They had Vipras, Brahmanas, association of people to support them. They had Dharma, they never gave up virtue and religiosity. And thirdly, they had Krishna with them. When we go through difficulties and troubles, these three are our shelters. First, Vipra, association of devotees. While we are trying to treat it, we are going through what we are going through, but that's such a powerful support system, When on a plane the oxygen supply in the cabin goes down, the stewardess will come and say, if there be a drop in the oxygen pressure in the cabin, oxygen marks will come down the panel. Please secure them on your face and start breathing normally. Devotees are like that oxygen mask. Whenever we are going through certain things, difficult situations, when devotees come, like a breath of fresh air, a smile, a simple smile, some encouraging words, some hope, and if possible, some direct support to solve the problem. It's not always possible, but if at all it is possible to help directly, they would come and help directly. And we find what a difference it makes, Makes so much difference when someone is around us, with us, to help us. That is treating the problem. The second step, I feel, if we cannot treat the problem and it's out of our control, we have to transcend the problem. Go above it. Rise above it. Like if someone has terminal cancer, which is incurable, how does he treat it? There's only one way left. To either be negative about it or rise above. Just have to rise above, One way to just rise above is to observe others. And when we observe others and see what they are going through, we feel, Krishna, what I'm going through is nothing. One way to transcend problems is to see how people have so many issues, and what I have is not even the tip of an iceberg. When we don't see the lives of others, we just make such a fuss out of what we are going through. Such a fuss out of what we are going through. But when we look at so many other devotees, so many other people in the world who have so much on their plate, what we have is little, and we feel, okay, it's not all that bad. So transcending our problems when we have no choice to control them, one is by observing. Observing that all I have is this much and being grateful. And therefore Brahma says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tatte nukampa susamikshamaano bhunjano evatma kritam vipakam. Krishna, I'm grateful to you that you've given me only a token of my reaction. I'm grateful. I would have probably, ended up getting my legs cut. All you gave me is a meniscus tear, and I only had to get both of my knees operated. I was saying this morning, just that I had to get both of my knees operated. I think by my karma, my legs would be cut off. And you know how I got those meniscal tears, by the way? In Europe, not in India. Because in India, our bathrooms are very simple. You just sit on the floor, fill a bucket of water, take a lota or a tumbler, bathe. And in India, all of us use soaps. They go off the body very quickly. Here, most places where I travel in Europe, there is a bathing tub, and which is never used to bathe. As in, bathing tubs is meant to fill up and lie down there, and who has the time? Imagine you have a Monday morning running to office and you fill the bathing tub. Chill out, warm water, it's nice. It's so strange. In the bathing tub, there is a shower. It's not meant to be like that. It's just adjusted like that. Inside the bathing tub is a shower. Such a narrow place. Now you can't put a bucket there, you can't use a lota there, you can't use a tumbler there. You have to stand there struggling to bathe in that little tiny space. Are you all relating to me? Hopefully. Yeah. I'm just expressing my heart of what happens to me and what happened to me. And then there is also consideration. When I traveled to the West first, one of our brahmacharis said, don't spill water. They take offense. They have carpets and everything. Don't spill a drop of water outside. I said, what's the meaning to the word bathroom then? If you can't have water, it should spill over. It should be wet all the time. That is bathroom. That's the Indian concept of bathroom. How can you have no water anywhere? So when I started traveling, taking shower inside that little thing, and usually what you have is a curtain. So with that curtain, I used to be so conscious that shower controlling it so it doesn't fall off. Water. 3 times I have fallen off the shower. That bathing tub outside, 3 times. And that's where I got my meniscal tear. Thanks to Europe. That's where I got my meniscal tear. What to do? Both of my knees were operated. Well, now it's okay, better. But we can always thank Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. Someone has a knee replacement. All I had is a meniscal tear. Thank you, Krishna. Someone has such a chronic disease. All I have is a little bit, some pneumonia, this thing, it will go away. When we are there, it's hard to see it that way. But when we observe others and how much they go through, all we can do is be very grateful to Krishna. Transcend our difficulty by saying, thank you, Krishna. All we have is a token. Like, don't they say, I was complaining that I don't have shoes till I saw a person who doesn't have legs. I was complaining I don't have shoes, but there's some people who don't have legs. I'm complaining about cheese on crackers. There are people who don't have a cracker. I'm complaining about 5 layers of cheese on a cracker that I couldn't eat it. It's too heavy. I have to do a workout to lose all my calories when I get back to India. There are people who don't have a cracker. They're very grateful to Krishna. Gratitude. Gratitude helps us transcend our difficulty. The difficulty doesn't go away. We rise above it. We rise above it. And in that state, we are able to handle it and face it much more effectively than when we are in our own shell thinking, my mind, my health, my problem, my family, my husband, my wife, my children, my home, my mortgage, my. Arey, there are so many people who have much more. When there is self-absorption, the trouble is much more. When we are just absorbed in our own issues constantly, we get severely affected by it. So the second T, transcend, means to rise above by observing others. And I'm not saying observing others by saying I'm better than them. Observing others and saying, being grateful that Krishna has given me only a token of what reactions I would have got. One man came and he was saying, one sadhu was sitting with many other sadhus, and he was telling one married man, a grihastha, He was saying, all of us sadhus can go without any verbal communication for years together, without speaking a single word. We call it Mauna Vrata. The married man said, we also can do it for many years. We call it marriage. With no verbal communication at all. We call it marriage. And the sadhu was thinking, grateful, I have to keep myself alone, quiet. Look at what that man has to handle. And the man is thinking, grateful, grateful that I have someone to take care of me. Look at that guy alone. He has to do his own laundry. And he has no choice over prasad. Whatever comes, he has to eat. We can all be grateful for what we have. When we observe the world, there's always something that we are grateful for. And therefore, first is observing. Then we talk about transcending. The second aspect is words of hope, counseling, guidance. From the words of Srila Prabhupada and from experienced devotees. When we go to devotees and seek help, those words have tremendous power. They have tremendous power. Especially if they are genuine. If a devotee is genuinely trying to help us, those words help us go above the difficulty and the problem. Therefore, we can't just remain in our shell saying, I'll solve it. We need help. If we just remain in our shell saying, I'll deal with it, doesn't work. Where do we get that motivation to transcend? So when we meet with devotees, go to a spiritual master, go to a senior devotee, and take help. We learn how to transcend it. Those words are powerful. Like I'll give you a simple example. Steve Jobs gave the Stanford commencement speech. Very powerful one. Very powerful one. And when anyone hears that speech, even if he's not a devotee, but those words just have so much power. After having gone through these difficult situations, we feel, I want to do something. He says, connect the dots forward. Connect the dots backward. Don't connect them forward. Why does he say so? Oh, that little boy, he was in the womb of his mother who was a Muslim, from an affair with a guy who was a Jew. Both of them were in university, Both of them were in university studying, and the students, unmarried. And when the girl's parents found out that she's pregnant, they said, look, we can't get you married to a Jew. So the only one thing you could do is drop the child. She said, drop the child? It's my first baby. It's my first child. And I want to have the child. I don't want to drop the child. The mother said, well, you don't want to drop the child, fine. We're not going to get you married to him. The only one thing you could do is give birth to the child and then put him up for adoption. And yes, that's what they did. Put him up for adoption, and as soon as he was born, he was adopted by a family, not a very well-to-do family. And the biological mother put a condition, just educate him nicely. Give him good university education. Agreed, fine. He grew up and he was sent to the University of Leeds in America. Like Stanford, huge expenditure. Parents' money all going away. So he was feeling so bad. Hey, I'm spending all my parents' money just on tuition fees. He decided to drop out of college. I want to drop out, And when he decided to drop out of college, what will I do? Decided to take a course on calligraphy. You know what calligraphy is? All these fancy handwritings. Now, calligraphy, what does it do to you? Not that I'm criticizing it, but can't we made a mainstream career? What would it do to him? And he didn't know then. What am I? I have no idea. I'm taken this course on calligraphy. What would my future be? At the age of 20, with a friend in his father's garage, he made the first computer. That's when he realized what that calligraphy meant to him, which he couldn't see in the university. Because of learning that calligraphy, he made those fonts, typeface of fonts, on the MacBook computers and on the laptops and iPods and iPads. They look the way they look because of his calligraphy. And then he said, at that point of time, I didn't know what was coming. If I would have connected the dots forward, I didn't know what it was. But today, when I connect the dots backwards, I see that there was a plan. I see that there was a plan to learn that calligraphy. And it's true. It is true that when we look backwards, we see that every difficulty, every trouble, every problem, there was a plan. The only issue is we were not able to understand that plan clearly. Right? And therefore, words of wisdom, words of inspiration, good counseling, and support from wise devotees helps us look at things more clearly, and we are able to transcend what we are going through. Otherwise, we are just struggling on our own, The third thing I felt in transcending our difficulties is absorption. I was in Austria last year. I went to Vienna, staying with a friend, and I cooked apple strudel and pasta for him. And then he cooked something. We had a nice lunch together. And 4 of us, we decided we would go out, just walk around. He said, why not go boating? I said, I don't mind. So we went. We hired a boat for 2 hours on the river called Donauinsel. And there was no one on the river. We just went around for about 1.5, 2 hours. My God, it's the most relaxing time I've had in over 17 to 18 years. Just nothing. It's too peaceful, completely peaceful, being with the waters and everything. So good. Then we came off and we went to the city center to walk. Some of you been to Vienna? In Vienna, if you're walking at the city center, there's this thing called the opera house, where the best musicians play music. And when they play, sometimes there are speakers and screens outside, you can see and hear them. So I was passing by, this is the opera, I just saw someone singing. We walked a little ahead, and I saw an amazing scene which I can never forget in my life. It's a simple point, but I was so touched and affected, and I still have that memory in my mind. There was a man sitting there, and he had a kind of a contraption. He had a pot, and he had some little sticks in his hand. He was playing music on that pot, The most beautiful music I've heard. He didn't have anything else except this pot and the sticks. Incredible music. I felt that opera was a shame, considering what he was doing. He had nothing. Incredible masterpiece music. Just with one pot and sticks, he knew how to hit it. I like music. I used to play the guitar before. I used to be a vocalist, used to sing for functions, some of the college functions before. I like music. And I was so captivated. Stood there for a while. About 45 minutes, actually. And shall I tell you something? What I was affected more, much more than his music, is that this man had his eyes closed, tight shut, for all the 45 minutes that I was standing there. He did not open his eyes a single time. People were throwing dollars and euros and pounds at him. Hundreds of people had surrounded him. He was just like this, playing the music, beyond everything that was happening around him. He wasn't concerned if people were praising him. He wasn't concerned if people were criticizing him. He wasn't concerned if people were throwing dollars, pounds, or euros. He wasn't concerned if people were taking them away. Of course, no one takes that. That only happens in India. He put it all there. It's so much money lying there. No one picked a single thing up. He was totally oblivious. Totally oblivious. And I think and I believe that even before I came there and even after I left there, probably he was in that state. As I left Vienna to go to Switzerland, Zurich, I was thanking that man for having taught me such a powerful principle of absorption. When you're absorbed, nothing around matters. When you're absorbed in hearing a talk, don't you forget what's happening outside? When you're absorbed in a fantastic kirtan, don't you forget what's happening around? Totally into it. Absorption is a very powerful means to transcend difficulties. And not absorption in something mundane. Absorption in Krishna is such a powerful means to go above. And I always give the example of an airplane. When I was traveling on Aeroflot once, the steward came to me and said, "We guarantee takeoff. Landing." quite an airline. He said, we guarantee takeoff. That's guaranteed. Rest, Hare Krishna. I said, the steward's quite courageous, telling me straight, about their own airlines. One of the things that I always like to do is sit in the window seat, especially if I'm coming to London. It's nice to see an organized city. All homes are in place. Everything's okay. When you land in a city like Mumbai, you don't know what is where. It's all a chaotic situation. Mumbai can be like that. India is sometimes, it's an amazing place spiritually, but in material it can be intense sometimes. In India, to cross a one-way road, you have to see both sides. It's a one-way road. But you have to look at both sides of the road before you cross the road, Somehow it is what it is. Just how it is, Intense place. I love to sit in the window seat. For the simple reason, you see the city. When you take off from Mumbai, Mumbai is going to have the world's largest residential building. 165-floor residential building. It's called World One. It's called World One because it's the biggest in the world. It's going to be the pride of Mumbai. No one has had a residential building 165 floors high. It's our city, Although you have to look at both sides, but we also have a building which is very high. When you're on the ground, that building is so big, isn't it? And as you go higher, that building becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, to such an extent that when you have risen high, the building still exists. Not that the building is gone. To me, it becomes non-existent. So when my consciousness is on a lower level, everything is like a building. He said this, she said this, he did this, she did this. Then even a little headache is bothersome. Then even a little headache gets on to me. And I become so agitated, so disturbed, so restless that I'm throwing temper tantrums at home. Throwing tantrums because I'm disturbed. Can't handle it, But when our consciousness rises above, like the plane, then the same issues like the building become smaller, tinier. And they don't affect us as much as they would have otherwise. And therefore absorption in Krishna, in chanting the holy names, in taking shelter of the power of Krishna, in Kirtan, in Krishna Katha, in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, helps us rise above. So the second T is transcend. The first is treated, if it's within our control. The second is transcended. How do we transcend? By observing and being grateful. How do we transcend? By powerful words, inspiring words of guidance, and we transcend. And how do we transcend? By absorption and rising above. Like the plane, do we transcend these problems and difficulties? The third T is transform. That's the highest step. Where we learn how to transform a difficulty into an opportunity. We learn how to transform a problem into, a calamity into an opportunity. Turn a curse into a blessing. Not easy. Like I said, all these things are easier said than done. All of you are thinking, Prabhuji, like I said, you are saying it. Do you have any experience of it? Have you gone through some serious problem or calamity that you can say this? Theory sounds so good, isn't it? But practical application is so hard. Transforming a curse into a blessing. And that is only possible by taking shelter of Krishna. Every cloud has a silver lining. And to focus on that silver lining and transform that calamity into an opportunity is bhakti. Bhakti is the art of transforming calamities into opportunities. Bhakti is the art of transforming curses into blessings. And we were discussing this morning about Parikshit Maharaj. How when Parikshit was cursed, it was beyond his control. He could do nothing about it. But he learned how to transform it into an opportunity to absorb his mind in Krishna and turn the curse into a blessing. He received the Bhagavatam and ascended to the spiritual world. And therefore to look at that golden side is so important. To have that positive attitude that there is a message there is so important. So crucial. I was using my cellular phone one night, and at about Slept at about like 11:30, quarter to 12. I was just about to go to bed, so I turned it off, put it in the flight safe mode, and got up in the morning at about 4 o'clock. I turned the phone back to its normal mode, and suddenly I started getting messages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 25 messages. And the first one was sent at 12 o'clock. And it said, Prabhuji, if you have not slept yet, please put it in the, flight safe mode, if you have, or silent mode. And if you have slept, don't worry. The message was anyway. Like that he said. And after that, there were 23 messages of quotes and all of that, sending at 12:31 in the night. And then when I got up, I read a few of them. They were good. You know what I was thinking? When the phone is in the flight safe mode, all the messages are right there, But my phone can't get it. In India, anything like this happens, now this is Satya hai. This is the truth. You sneeze, Satya hai. Anything falls, Satya hai. This is the truth. So looks like what I'm saying is the truth. That's why the phone fell, It's considered like an omen. As soon as you turn the phone to the normal mode, all SMSs come in, all text messages come in. Our life is like that cellular phone. And Krishna is sending messages after messages, But we are off. And therefore I was saying our movement is ISKCON. It's not ISKOF. Is KC on? Is Krishna consciousness on? If Krishna consciousness is on, there'll be a lot of messages that will keep coming. But if Krishna consciousness is off, like the phone, messages are all there, but I don't get any of it. Therefore, sometimes devotees ask me this question, Prabhuji, when you give the talk, everyone in the audience thinks it's for the next person. You are right, what you said is right. He needs it. Prabhuji, what you're saying is so correct, Exactly, that person in the audience. Yeah, that Prabhuji ne he needs it. She needs it. When Krishna consciousness is off, we think it is for the world. When Krishna consciousness is on, we think it is for us. And the messages are all there. As soon as we are Krishna conscious and tuned in, it all comes. And we see the opportunity in the calamity because Krishna gives us that message. And we need to be positive about it. Positive about it. And therefore they say no matter what your blood group is, your mind group should always be B positive. You may be A positive or O positive, doesn't matter. Mind group should be B positive. To look at that situation, seeing Krishna's message, are decoded through devotees. What is in it for me? Can I transform this curse into a blessing? Can I transform this difficult situation into something that I can learn from and grow from? Great people transform calamities into opportunity. Greatness of a person is seen by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. Srila Prabhupada used to quote this. Greatness of a person is to be estimated by his or her ability to tolerate provoking situations and learning how to change that situation into a blessing. A pessimist and an optimist. What's the difference between an optimist and pessimist? The one guy was falling off a big tower, 100-floor tower, and as he was falling off, he was so positive that in the middle of the air, he's saying, "Just see, I have not fallen yet. Just see, I have not fallen yet." The difference between an optimist and a pessimist is this: the pessimist always looks at the alphabet O at the end of the word zero. For him, it is the end. And what is it? Zero. An optimist, on the other hand, looks at the same alphabet O at the beginning of the word opportunity. Both are looking at O, but one looks at the O at the end, one looks at the O in the beginning. One sees the O in zero, that everything has become zero. One sees the O in the opportunity, that there is an opportunity to learn and grow. No? And therefore, the third T is to transform that difficulty into an opportunity. And the last T, the fourth T, is to try to help and inspire others. You know, psychologists have done this research, and I was mentioning this earlier, that when we don't try to help others or inspire others, we are too self-absorbed in our own issues and our problems. Psychologists have done research in this and said that people who start living for others forget a lot of their worries and problems that they're going through. You know, therefore they say people want to be handsome in this world. You know, they want to look handsome, and it's not that they can always look handsome. Everyone thinks that I'm okay. I look good and I'm handsome. Not everyone can look handsome, but one can give a hand to some. We may not be handsome, but when we lend our hand to some to help others, that's what being true handsome is. We look so beautiful despite not looking good, so handsome despite not being handsome, when we lend a helping hand to others, you know. And this is such a powerful tool, such a powerful thing to transcend the problems that we go through, because we are trying to live for others, and there's a certain inexplicable shakti there which helps us deal with our own issues when we try to live for others. I want to share a story with you, a very touching story which I was telling at Buckland, an amazing story of a lady from India. You know, she got married to a guy who was 35 years old when she was 10. 25 years gap. She had no choice. The family just got her married, you know. And after her wedding, between the age 10 to 20, she got 3 sons. And then at 20, she was pregnant, carrying a child. You know. And because of some reason, the husband threw her out of the house. And while throwing her out of the house, kicked her on her womb. You know. Kicked her. And she was not due for that date. But because she was kicked, she had no choice. Such excruciating pain. She came to the cow shed of their house, and she couldn't bear the pain, so she just fell down in pain. And all the other cows around, they were just so upset that they came to attack her. There was one cow that she would always take care of, always attend to that one cow. That one cow came and stood over her, stood right over her, and pushed off all the other cows with her horns, you know, to protect her because she had taken care of her. Reciprocation. Pushed off all the other cows. And while there, this lady gave birth to a baby, a girl, baby girl, sweet little girl. She went back the next morning with the baby, expecting that the husband, seeing the baby, will take her in. The husband drove her out. No ways, get out, you know. She was wandering all around, and then she came to her mother's place. The mother said, I don't have a husband, I'm a widow, I don't think I can support you, I'm sorry, I can't take you in. This little girl, 20-year-old girl, going around with this little baby, trying to make sense out of it all. What she did was, I can't give up. I have to bring this child up. She recited a couplet. She's speaking to her tears. She's saying, my dear tears who are in my heart, please don't come out of these eyes. Don't leave me. Everyone has left me. If you come out of the heart and flow out of the eyes, I'll have no one to live with. You're the only ones left for me. Be there in my heart. Don't show the world by coming out what I feel. And this lady, moving with this baby, was on a railway platform begging to get a square meal a day. And sometimes you know how people are, they don't even give anything. Somehow or the other, as she was trying to make sense out of it, she saw an elderly man at the railway platform who was dying out of starvation. She said, I can't see him die. She went around the railway platform for 2.5 to 3 hours begging and collected some money, purchased a little food and gave it to this man. This man lived, had a smile on his face. He was grateful. She found a purpose. I am in difficulty, but if I sit with my own difficulty, things are not going to change. My mind is only going to be consumed by my problems and my difficulties. Here's a purpose, to help others. And then there was someone who came to molest her. 20-year-old girl, seduce her. She was somehow saved out of it. She realized the only way to be spared out of it is to not be in the mainstream society. She saw a dead body being carried to the crematorium on the crutch, and they had this pot, they had this pot with smoke, and they say Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai. She saw this funeral procession going there. She followed that procession with her little baby. And when she entered into the crematorium, the body was burned, and she realized no one is going to do that to me here. No one will molest me here in a crematorium. The guy who was burned, they had brought some wheat flour. They had this during funeral procession, balls made of wheat flour and water. It was kept there. After they all went, she took that pot and broke the pot into pieces. And she took a log of fire from the dead body and put that broken piece on that fire. And with those wheat balls, she made rotis. And as soon as the roti was ready to feed herself and a little child, there was another orphan little girl who came in. She was so hungry and famished. She thought, we'll share it all together. And that was the beginning of this lady's life. She started giving shelter to more and more people who were shelterless, homeless, orphans, started feeding them, started feeling like a mother to them, and grew. Forgot herself, forgot what her issue was, forgot that she was kicked, forgot that she was thrown out for no reason, forgot that she had no shelter, forgot that all my issues and my problems are there, in trying to give a helping hand to others. And as she was going above it all, today she's 65 years old, and she has over 1,500 children whom she has brought up. Many of them are doctors, engineers, lawyers, architects, chartered accountants. She lived for them. And you know something? Her own little baby, she gave that child away to another organization, another orphan organization, because she thought, if I keep my own blood child with me, I'll probably be biased in treating others. Gave her own child away. And having this 1,500 kids under her now, she's now making a place in Pune, first to make a living place for them now. First time, because the world is recognizing her sacrifice. And then she was called to the US. She spoke there. She was called in Europe. She spoke there. Finally, India got up that she's from our country. Everyone is honoring her, so I guess we should also honor her international fame, and we forgot that she is Indian branded, So finally the Indian government recognized her, gave her awards, and her family and the previous husband came to know. So they invited, now she's a big lady, she's a very big lady, reputed lady. They invited her to come to their hometown for a talk. So she went. Husband was sitting right next. She didn't even look at him. She didn't recognize him. After a while, the husband said, "You didn't recognize me? I'm your husband." He said, "My husband? He was dead years back. He's gone. He doesn't exist for me. But I think you're shelterless. I think you need shelter. I can give you shelter. Come to our asylum, but you will be my son, okay? You can't be my husband any longer." That relationship is gone. I'm only a mother to everyone now, She's called Mai there in India. Mai means a mother. Her name is Sindhu Tai Sabkar, And if any of you ever get a chance, if you understand some Marathi, or if you understand some Hindi, you can look up on the YouTube. My God, when that lady speaks. And she's such a very devout lady, very devoted, very religious lady. Amazing. She's just very powerful when she speaks, because she's gone through it, And then she told her husband, she said, "I'm extremely grateful for whatever you did." I said, "What?" She said, "I'm extremely grateful for whatever you did. I have no complaints. I've forgotten it. I've forgiven you, everything. Don't worry about it. You're just my son now. I'm extremely grateful, because if you wouldn't have done it, I would have remained with those 4 kids all my life, giving shelter only to those 4 kids, cooking for those 4 kids. Today, I'm taking care of 1,500 children, all of whom consider me their mother, and I've groomed them and grown them up so well." And this is just a mundane example, just from the world outside there. But how when we try to help others and inspire others, we forget, forget our own problems and issues. How do we start living for others? First, let's start living for each other at home. We don't have to go outside to live for each other, help others. If we're just at home trying to live for each other and make each other feel encouraged and uplifted, I think even that would be a good deal. And therefore, to summarize on what we discussed this afternoon, is that this material world is a place of problems because Krishna calls it Dukkhalayam. It's like a mixer grinder, you can't make it a Sukhalayam. Right. All we can do is face it properly and try to deal with it right. We can't forget the three categories of devotees, can we? The person who's not a devotee gets 100% karmic reaction. A person who's completely surrendered has no karma. Krishna arranges it. And for all of us, we get a token reaction sent by Krishna. How do we deal with it when it comes? 4 T's. First T, treat it. If it is within our control, let's deal with it. It could be a disease, it could be a relationship conflict. Let's deal with it so it doesn't bother us in our minds. The second T, transcend it. How do we transcend it? First, observe. Observe others and see that we are in a much better position and we can be grateful to Krishna. Second, words of inspiration from seniors and guidance which help us transcend. And third, absorption. Absorption in chanting and in Krishna helps us go above. The third T is transforming. Transforming a curse into a blessing, a calamity into an opportunity, because every cloud has a silver lining, And we can't forget, how we have to be positive and look at the opportunity in every situation to grow and learn. And the last T is, of course, trying to help others, because when we are self-absorbed is when we take it too much to our minds. When we start thinking about others, our problems slowly, not that they go away, but we rise above it slowly. So these are the 4 T's to learn how to deal with the 5th T, which is troubles, trials, and tribulation. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. The lunch was meant to be light, but now it is a good lunch, and I know that you're all looking forward to it. And I am going to have trouble after the lunch. And I'm trying to see how I can transcend it. You all will very well transcend it. I don't know how I can transcend it. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
We do have some time for questions. We do have some time for questions because the lunch hasn't arrived yet.
Big trouble. Lunch hasn't arrived yet.
So we can take some questions. It will be here in 10 minutes and we'll be able to serve at 1:30. We can take some questions on either of the sessions.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Somebody want to take the mic?
Thank you for your knowledge of Gaur Gopal, first of all. I believe you mentioned many things about your relationships and how you mentioned many things about marriage, and most of the comments tend to be, how I perceive it, not very positive. No. What I really wanted to ask is that, did Krishna actually ever get married to Radha?
I thought he was asking when will I get married. I was thinking he's asking in your travels, can you find someone for me? I was thinking he was asking, this is my perception about how you said it, but I hope you don't believe in what you're saying. I hope it was only jokes and not reality. And now he's asked us a very nice and esoteric question, was Krishna actually married to Srimati Radharani?
Yes, that is the real question,
Okay.
besides jokes.
Okay, fine. And the answer to that question is, which is really outside the scope of what we're talking, but nevertheless I'll try to answer that question. Yes and no both.
How does that work?
Yes and no both. Krishna is the eternal one supreme. Ekaha dvitiyo nasti. The Vedas explain Krishna is the one and there's no one other than him. And that one Krishna expands into Srimati Radharani, and therefore Srila Prabhupada said that Srimati Radharani is the feminine counterpart of Krishna. You can read Srila Prabhupada's lecture. Srimati Radharani is the feminine counterpart of Krishna. Why did he expand? Expansion is always for pleasure. Krishna is Atmaram, he doesn't need anyone, but with expansion the pleasure is enhanced. So Krishna expands himself into his Ladini Shakti, Srimati Radharani. She's called Ladini Shakti because she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. So there's no question of marriage directly in the spiritual world because she's the first expansion of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Now when Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they come to this world, however, they are married and they are not married both simultaneously. If you go to Vrindavan, there is a place called Bhandiravan, and in Bhandiravan there is a banyan tree called Bhandiravat. Under that banyan tree, Lord Brahma performed the wedding of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna when they were just tiny little kids. And there is also another reference, and this was also happening during that 1 year when Brahma had stolen the calves and the cowherd boys and the calves. So everyone was Krishna. So all the gopis got married to Krishna, although they thought they got married to these cowherd boys. And it is during that time that Brahma performed that wedding at Bhandiravat. So that wedding, officially there is a reference to that wedding at Bhandiravan between Srimati Radharani and Krishna. But if you see our scriptures, and particularly the path given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he talks about Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani not being married because there is something called as Swakiya Ras and Parakiya Ras, which is all beyond the scope of discussions in this assembly. But if you would like to know more about this, you may come to me and we can discuss in person what this whole thing called Parakiya and Swakiya is. It's a very esoteric subject matter. But suffice to say that they were married and they were not married. There is a reference to their marriage in Bhandiravat, at Bhandiravat, and Lord Chaitanya also said that they were not married to facilitate the exchange of what is called as Swakiya and Parakiya. Since you asked a very technical and esoteric question, the answer is that as well. And now we are waiting for Srimati Radharani's mercy. There's no better mercy than Mahaprasad. Unless there's another question, we'll probably break. Yes, bro. Oh, 15 minutes, okay, fine.
My question is, you mentioned about challenges and struggles and how you should take counsel from devotees. My question is, so when you go through a juggling time or you need some guidance, how do you decide upon who you should approach for guidance? First thing, and for example, if you're a married person, should you always speak to a married person for guidance, or you could speak to someone like you who's a brahmachari or a sannyasi? And should you take guidance from one person, or should you take guidance from, for example, at least 3 people? I heard a Kandidi Prabhu talking about this.
Yes, the Brahmanas, 3 people. Yeah, that's a good question. Should we go to a grihastha? Should we go to a sannyasi? Should we go to a brahmachari? Should we go to all 3? Combination of all. Where do we take our guidance from, and how do we find that person? On what basis do we choose someone to take guidance from? Yeah, it's very true that many people come and talk to me, and many people go and talk to sannyasis as well about their problems, about their issues, and about their family problems. And the reason they do it is because they think that he will look at it from a very unbiased point of view, from a neutral stance. But even grihasthas who are mature, who are wise, who have devotees, who have so much experience, do the same. And therefore, it's not that we go to a brahmachari or a grihastha or a sannyasi. One first thing about taking guidance, I feel, is these are the few things that we need to look at. First is a person whom we can trust. When we talk about taking guidance, we talk about trust. Because we are opening our heart. We are confiding in that person. Since we are confiding in that person, we need to have trust in 2 or 3 areas. We need to trust him in 2 or 3 areas. The first thing we need to trust is confidentiality. that that person can maintain confidentiality. The second thing that we need to trust is that this person will not exploit me. One reason why most people don't want to come and confide is fear of exploitation, that this person won't exploit me. The third area of trust is expertise, wisdom, experience, maturity. Sometimes we may hear it from someone else that this person is very wise, mature, and it has helped me a lot, so we may go to that person then. At least to try and begin that relationship to see if it works with you that way. And sometimes we may know someone already who is very wise and mature by hearing from him, by interacting with him or her. We may know in our experience that this person has some, real wisdom there, maturity there. You see? So I think the first aspect of taking guidance is trust. And these are the three things that we trust. We need to trust, have trust in confidentiality, trust in expertise, experience and wisdom, and trust in the fact that he or she will not exploit us. That's the first thing, isn't it? Ashram is secondary. Ashram is secondary in taking guidance. At the same time, when someone's from the same ashram, they know more about it. Just how it is, isn't it? They may know more about it in terms of details. Principles everyone knows. Principles are clear to everyone. But if you have guidance from someone who's a grihastha, if you're a grihastha, that person has gone through it a lot more and has it experienced. So he'll be able to also help in that area. Should we take guidance from 1, 2, 3 or more people? I feel when it comes to follow, we should follow one person. When it comes to taking help and understand, we can understand from many people. We can take help in understanding from many people. Why I say so? Because when we are trying to take decision based on 4 people's opinion, we are confused. We are confused which one to take. Everyone is basically giving guidance for us to help and improve, but there could be different flavors to it. Different flavors to it based on their realizations. So, especially in making decisions, then we want to follow one person. And in trying to understand the situation, we can ask so many different people and try to understand the situation better. That's called shiksha. We take shiksha from many people, many devotees, and understand the situation in life, or for that matter, even Krishna consciousness better. But then following, I do feel when it comes to, otherwise, yes, we can be very confused, because 4 different people can say 4 different things, and then you're stuck, more confused than you were before. Whom do I follow? You get my point? So I think there is a scope to do both, where we take guidance from many, and then we also stick to one person who's guiding us. And I say so because that person knows our life better. When we are taking guidance from one person regularly, and he's our kind of the point of contact for us to take guidance, then we are also confiding to that person, and that person knows our situation, our family situation, and he understands us much more than others who may not know as much as he knows. So that I would say, that kind of guidance has to come from one person, especially in taking and making decisions. And even the guide or the mentor or the counselor is simply a facilitator. No one can take decisions for anyone. Decisions have to be made by individuals, all of us. We are responsible for the decisions we make. A mentor or a guide is simply a philosopher, friend and a guide. A friend to hear you, a person who can teach us the philosophy properly, and guide us how to apply that philosophy in the particular issues that we go through. Am I making sense? Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaur Premanande. Mercy has not come from Radhanan's bakery yet. We are waiting for the mercy to descend. Oh, there are more questions. Fine. Okay. When there's no prasad, we have to make some questions now. Please. Yes. Yeah, anyone from the ladies if they want to speak.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I just wanted to know, is there a fast track to achieve moksha?
Is there a fast track?
I mean, I'm following whatever path that
Yes.
is.
Is there a fast track to achieve moksha? My God, everything is a fast track
You
now,
asked me to fully surrender. I mean, I may not surrendered person,
Yeah.
but I have got
Yes, yes.
no interest.
Correct.
Material.
I'll give you my perception of it. I may be wrong again, but my personal feeling about it is this: that whenever we struggle based on our own abilities to achieve something, our ability to do so is very limited. You know? But whenever we have a power with us or someone to help us struggle with it, because of that person's help, then the struggle becomes much easier and we can achieve what we want to achieve much faster. I'll give you an example. If I want to study, for example, if I want to study, if I'm on my own and I want to achieve that grade on my own, it's a struggle and it's very hard. But if I have a very studious person who's very talented by my side to help me with that, my ability to achieve that grade becomes much easier. You know what I mean? There was a father, it's on the lighter side again, lunch is coming, so I have to make that. There was a father who asked his son, Sonny, it was your results day today, right, in India. Results were yet to be out. No? What happened to your results? He said, the lawyer's son failed. He said, I'm asking you. What happened to you? He said, the doctor's son also failed. He said, man, I'm asking you. He said, no, the engineer's son also. Now the father, what happened to you? He said, the doctor's son failed, the engineer's son failed, the lawyer's son failed. You think you are an Albert Einstein that your son will pass the exam? Hare Krishna. When you're trying to struggle in achieve an academic grade on your own, abilities are limited. When you have a power way beyond yourself, we can achieve it much easier. And so is Krishna consciousness. And so is the path of dharma and spirituality. That when we are trying to reach there on our own abilities to chant, our own abilities to perform tapasya, our own abilities to perform vratas, forget it. Forget it. No one goes to Krishna and achieves liberation by doing their sadhana. Sadhana doesn't take you there. Sadhana and everything we do in our spiritual life is only the means to please Guru, please Krishna, please the Vaishnavas. And when they give their support and their blessings, those blessings pull us up. On our own ability to achieve Krishna, forget it. No matter what rounds we chant, forget it. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says this. Bahu janma jad kare jadi shravana kirtan tabu na paye Krishna pade premadhan. Bahu janma kari. Life after life one can keep chanting and hearing. Tabu na paye par Krishna pade dhan. One doesn't get Krishna like that. Bhakti is the path of grace. It is the path of mercy. Unless we get grace and mercy of superior Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada, Guru, no hope. Then we keep struggling. There's no taste. Just going around here, That's our life. And you know what the secret is to get blessings? Very simple. Very simple. The secret is to please. Bhakti is not a complicated process. The secret is to please others. To live a life in a way that we can please others. When we try to please others, then it's not all that hard to please others. If that's our priority, not all that hard. Just ask your next door person, another devotee, what do you like for prasad? Make it. Simple. Hare Krishna. Not that you invite to my Adesh is looking okay. Oh, Pranabandhu Prabhu is looking behind. What do you like for prasad?
I'm saying don't ask today.
Okay, don't ask today. Yeah.
I just want to expand on this. I'm talking for myself. I don't know whether it's right words or not.
Mm-hmm.
But when I sit to meditate, I can concentrate and focus my mind towards Godhead much better than when I'm surrounded in satsang and all that.
Okay.
Because I can sit in ekant, alone, somewhere nice, peaceful. I feel very blissful. And I feel I'm more connected with God than...
Wonderful. Wonderful. Not many people are like you though. Very rare few people, because of their previous piety, because of their previous life's good karma, may have the ability to do so. Otherwise, in this age of distraction, with the mind so much full of, worries, anxieties, things, thoughts, You know how many thoughts a man or a lady gets throughout the day? Between 50,000 and 150,000 thoughts. And they are the most when you sit alone doing nothing. So I must congratulate you and appreciate that, you're able to connect to the Lord while you're there. At the same time, most all of us are not able to do it. So therefore, when we are in satsang, we are with devotees, we interact with devotees, please them and get the blessings. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay, the mercy is here.
The mercy is here and the masses
Mercies are also there.
So once again, let's show our appreciation to Gaur Gopal.